So yeah, Will, tell us about Simple DVT. Is it on testnet? Is it on mainnet? Is it on both? What's going on?
Glad to be part of the Golden Girls. So for this month, we've updated the status to we are scaling. I think this is going to be a pretty consistent theme that you'll see over the next few updates as well. I think in general, things are really exciting for Simple DBT where they stand. So diving into Obol to start, the scaling process for normal clusters is well underway. So the first 12 cohort 1 clusters that have been active on mainnet now for about 2 months are all running 40 validators each, and all the performance metrics look really, really strong to date. So we had gone from 5 validators to 20 to 40. The 20 to 40 was sort of just a precautionary step, but everything looks great. So we would expect an updated performance report to be posted to the forums next week, and that will likely come along with a proposal to raise the key limits for those clusters again. This performance report will cover things like uptime, validator effectiveness, as well as block proposal success rate. So stay tuned for that. The first 10 cohort 2 clusters, so these clusters within cohort 2, there's actually 14 total. The first 10 have a pending easy track to raise their first key limits to 5 validators each. We'd also expect the remaining 4 clusters to have an easy track started this week for their first 5 validators as well. As a reminder, the onboarding for cohort 2 began after cohort 1 had finished their first 30 days with the initial performance report. So in general, all of the clusters that have been so far proposed by the Lido node operator sub-governance group and accepted by the DAO are in the process of getting their first validators up and running and really rolling. There's a total of 540 validators active within the Simple DVT module on mainnet today. Currently, most of those are Obol, but we will talk about SSV, and scaling is really picking up there as well. In terms of the fourth testnet, which is taking place with Obol, which we've covered, I think, in the last couple of calls as well. So still underway with 25 clusters. There are 150 net new node operators participating. Some of you may remember that the testnet had some issues early on. This was due to the large number of validators that are active on Haleski, as well as some like strange interactions basically between clients. Given this large number of validators on Haleski, combined with the fact that we're testing 1,000 validator keys for the first time. In the meantime, Obol has released V1.0 of the Charon middleware, which is extremely exciting for the Obol team. The testing is underway, and we'd expect, as things are looking quite good, that we'll start updating clusters on mainnet very shortly. There's still some specific clusters having issues with block proposals that we're diagnosing, though it looks like those are generally due to operator misconfigurations. The block proposal success rate for testnet over the last week is 83%, a bit above that. So in general, things are looking really good here, and we'd expect that the fourth testnet is wrapping up. Once that testnet is wrapped up, it will be followed by another Lido node operator sub-governance group evaluation of the participants, and they will propose additional clusters to move forward to mainnet in what will be Obol cohort 3. So more to come here. On the side of SSV, extremely exciting. All 12 clusters in SSV cohort 1 are now active as of late last week. They're running their first initial 5 validators, and the performance monitoring period, which I sort of touched on for Obol, has begun on the SSV side. Once that performance monitoring period is done in about 3.5 weeks, there will be a performance report shared to the DAO. And if that performance looks good and comparable to the overall operator set, you'll also see a proposal to raise their key limits and also start to onboard the 11 cohort 2 clusters on the SSV side. Performance so far looks very, very promising. Currently, there have been 3 out of 3 successful block proposals, and a huge shout out to the Agile Antelope cluster, who had the first block proposal and actually already has 2 of these block proposals of the 3. So things are looking really great here. We will be officially confirming the testnet date to participants that have applied later this week, but it is expected to start on August 5th. So for those of you that have been interested, please look out for an email over the next few days, just giving confirmation around this. But yeah, this will be the last major SSV testnet that takes place via Simple DVT. And for those that are not participating within this testnet, like we definitely would encourage you to check out CSM and get involved there, because there's a lot of opportunity to run DV validators on CSM. At the bottom, I wanted to call out just a little screenshot from Rated that I took. You can see on the far right that the Raver effectiveness rating for Simple DVT is 96.93%. This is still just like a small amount of validators. That number of validators will be increasing, which we'll touch on. But it's pretty cool because if you compare that 96.93% that was over the last 7 days to the next, to all of the largest staking protocols, Simple DVT is performing better than 5 of the next 6 on the list by network penetration. So DV validators are working, they're performant, and they're providing lots of benefits to both the Lido node operator set, but also to the overall Ethereum network. All right, in terms of the expansion, so there's 2 pretty major initiatives that are taking place. First is that the vote to raise the target share, the actual on-chain implementation of that vote, has gone live today via Aragon. So as a reminder, there was a snapshot vote about a month ago that passed that allowed for 2 things. One, it allowed for basically a qualitative signaling from the DAO to say that the target share should be raised from 0.5 to 4%. And 2, for the implementation of what are called superclusters. So the Lido node operator subgovernance group met last week and came together with a proposal that is on the Lido research forums to propose 10 superclusters for onboarding to mainnet. Superclusters look quite similar to the normal Simple DVT clusters that are currently running. So they'll still have 7 total participants running in a 5/7 threshold format. But these clusters will consist of 2 types of node operators. It'll consist of advanced node operators and then members of the curated node operator set. For the curated node operator set, these are node operators that are participating within the curated module. For advanced node operators, basically this is just a classification that means that these node operators have been observed on testnet and mainnet with strong performance. This includes solo stakers, it includes community stakers, and it includes other professional node operators that are not part of the curated node operator set. In addition to the 70 participants within these 10 superclusters that were proposed, there's an additional 28 node operators that were also proposed as backups for these clusters, as well as potential backups for regular clusters over the coming months. And these backup node operators are also added to the advanced node operator list. It's expected over the next couple months that there will be follow-on evaluations of participants in mainnet DVT to also classify them as advanced node operators. The main focus by the NOCC for this initial setup was to get the supercluster proposal out the door. But as a reminder, this was stated in the initial Simple DVT proposal. Any cluster that runs more than 100 validators needs to have 50% of those participants be classified with this advanced node operator label. With the capacity of the module going to 4%, it's possible, across many different ways, that the number of validators across normal clusters could be increased. For example, if the total amount of stake within Lido increased, 4% is a larger number of ETH that could then be translated into larger number of validators for normal clusters. So we would expect to see more advanced node operators basically classified for this reason. On the side of the superclusters, there's a pretty detailed post on the research forums if you'd like to check that out. There's just a couple of screenshots there highlighting some of the onboarding statistics, but onboarding is expected to begin later this week. The clusters will start with 50 validators each. That'll be followed by a performance report 2 weeks after all of those validators are active. And if that looks good, they will have the ability to have a proposal basically for the key limits to go to 200 validators. That process will repeat after another performance report, and superclusters will run up to 500 validators. So in general, Simple DVT is scaling, it's expanding. The performance looks really, really great on mainnet so far. And it's on track to running a very material amount of stake across many different solo stakers, community stakers, and non-Lido curated node operators. So all in all, I think very, very exciting, and we'll keep you updated next month. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Will. And actually, as of a couple of hours ago, the Aragon vote to increase Simple DVT share from 0.5% to 4% just went live. So if you've got LDO and you're interested in seeing that stake capacity for the module increase, please remember to vote.